Hello, 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 my loves. As always, I hope that this live or this replay finds you well and in excellent spirits. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to another edition of the weekly Astro Forecast live here in the Astro Room on YouTube. I am your host and your favorite astrologer, Mel of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So, if this is our first time meeting, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. All right. So this channel is everything astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, or if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my love. So this is the weekly astro forecast for the week of February 10th through February 16th. Yes, February 16th, 2025. All right. So thankfully, this is kind of a light week. There isn't much going on. We do have a full moon, and full moons are always pretty eventful. We also have Mercury changing signs, but other than that, not too much going on, which is good, right? And we need that. Okay. I cannot stress that enough. I want to say so this week, next week, Pisces season starts. We don't have too much going on for the rest of the month, okay? Major thing happening is that Mars will be going direct, but other than that, not too much. And I can't stress enough how much we need the rest, how much we need to conserve our energy because March is a whole different beast. And that's when the dynamic energy of 2025 really starts. All right. So chill out this week. Okay. Get some rest, stay hydrated, and just roll with the punches. All right. But before I get into the details of the week, of course, housekeeping and announcements. So if you are joining me here live, thank you so much for tuning in. I sincerely appreciate you. All right. Say hi on your way in, hit that like button. You know the vibes, right? And if you are watching this on the replay, I appreciate you. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hopefully, you find what you're looking for with this broadcast. So, whether it's information, enlightenment, illumination, confirmation, even if you find that you find those things here, then definitely hit that like button, subscribe button, and notification bell if you haven't already. All right. So, what else do we have? Oh, yes, my private online community, Cosmic Collective, where we all are learning astrology together. You get to commune with like-minded individuals who are interested in astrology and spirituality. Plus, there are some great events happening in there. It's a whole vibe. Check it out. The link is in the description box below. And if you haven't availed yourself of my signature service, the Blueprint, already, then you definitely, what are you waiting for? Seriously. In this stage of the game, at this stage of the game, if you don't know your natal chart, you need to know your natal chart. All right. And so my signature service is my natal chart reading. I call it the Blueprint, where I basically delineate your natal chart from A to Z. All right. Super comprehensive. I talk astrology, numerology. It's a whole vibe. All right. And so if you're interested, it will be linked in the description box below and also tagged to this video. All right. So let us talk about this week. So the major thing that's happening this week is that we have a full moon in Leo happening tomorrow on February 12th. All right. And full moons in Leos can always be really fun, but they can also be a little scary. Okay. And I say that because Leo is heart-centered energy. And whenever the full moon is in Leo, it's like the moon is really illuminating what is in our hearts. What do we really want? And oftentimes you may find that a lot of the things that you want, you're either afraid of having, you either psych yourself out from having them, right? There's always this resistance that either we're experiencing internally or even externally when we're talking about what we desire and what's really in our hearts. And so Leo being the lion, that heart-centered energy, the ability and I want to say the word discipline, like the discipline to sort of follow your heart, that's very much an act of courage. And that's exactly what this full moon in Leo has to offer. Okay. And so again, it could be a little jarring. And with the rest of the astrology that's kind of going on in the background, this is very much a prelude to, I want to say it is a prelude to Valentine's Day, but it's not that Valentine's Day is the be all end all thing, right? It's more so about this energy of love and this focus or emphasis on romantic relationships. That's definitely a theme of this full moon in Leo. for better or for worse, however you think about it, right? But anytime we have a focus on something that either triggers us, frustrates us, like, how, and I know I'm not the only one that feels this way. You know how sometimes you'll see things either on your feed, on your For You page, on wherever, right? And it's like something that you really, really want. But in the moment that you see it, you either get really frustrated because you don't have it yet. Like, this used to happen a lot with me with like entrepreneurship, right? And the algorithms really favor that kind of content. And so seeing people saying, "Oh, I had a seven-figure month and this, that, and the third," like that used to really trigger me. And so every time I would see it on my feed, I would get like annoyed, right? That is a good thing. Being annoyed is not a good thing, but I hope you understand what I mean when I say that. It's that being triggered can spark you into action. Being triggered can let you know what needs attention. What do you need to address? Right? Perhaps it's a shortcoming. Perhaps it's an insecurity. Perhaps it's a wound, even, right? So triggers can be a good thing. And that may also be what happens around this full moon. Because remember, full moons illuminate, right? And so they show us what's in the dark. This full moon may perhaps show us what is in the recesses of our hearts, which could be painful, right? It may have you reliving or remembering perhaps a heartbreak, the one that got away, all those kind of things. And we're gearing up for Venus retrograde, which is happening on the 1st of March. And currently at this time, Venus is in her pre-shadow period. So she's getting ready to go retrograde. So a lot of that stuff is going to come up, and sort of the crescendo of this, or a major inflection point in all of this, is this full moon in Leo. Okay. So I did a whole video on the full moon in Leo. Link is in the description box below. If you haven't checked it out already, it'll tell you everything you need to know about the upcoming full moon. All right. And so with that being said, let's talk about our theme for the week, which is courage, confidence, and compassion. All right. So this has everything to do with that full moon in Leo. Courage to follow what's in your heart, confidence to go after that, right? To go after what you truly desire, and compassion, right? Because we have a lot of Pisces energy this month. And Pisces is the sign of compassion. It's the sign of service. It's the sign of selflessness, right? And so when you put these three things together, you have the perfect recipe for real love, right? As however you feel about that term, right? Because the way that it feels like the world is going, the way it feels like the dating pool is, real love, a lot of people feel like it seems like it's hard to come by. It seems like it's too risky. There's too many weird people out there, right? But use the energy of this full moon for what it is designed for. And it's really designed to help you tap into your heart space. Now, does that mean that everything is going to be roses and rainbows? Absolutely not, right? That's not the world that we live in. However, don't deny what you feel, or don't deny what you want simply because you feel like it's unattainable, or you feel like the way that everything is set up, it can't possibly happen. That's not the case at all. That's why courage is so important, because in the face of, a date that didn't go well, a breakup, a divorce, right, are the seeds of real love if you are willing and courageous enough to plant them. Okay. So that's everything that this full moon is really going to give to us. And it really is a gift. Okay. Because I feel like in the times that we're living now, it is so, so important to focus on and remember the good that does exist. There is this agenda, if you will, to push out negativity, to push fear, fear mongering, negativity, division. All of these things are ramping up right now. And if you attune to the frequency of nature, right, AKA what's going on with the astrology is giving you these bits and pieces where it's like reminding you that positivity is a real thing. It does exist. Real love can happen. True success can be yours, right? And these aren't just buzzwords. These aren't just, to blow smoke up your ass, right? This is real. And if you use the energy that's at your fingertips, you can really tap into it. Okay. Now, I know I've mentioned this before, but I will say it again. I feel like whenever I go through social media, whenever I go through YouTube, it is a plethora of man bashing, women bashing, crazy ass stories, right? Do you guys remember last year when there was that woman, I believe her name was Risa Tisa, and she did like a 60-part saga on TikTok? Like it was like, who the F did I marry? Right. Those kind of things I feel like get pushed to the forefront because it validates people's beliefs about relationships. And the algorithm favors, you know, the craziest things. And so people are so willing to either share their crazy stories or make up crazy stories in an effort to get attention, right? And that is something I should say to also watch out for with this full moon in Leo. Leo is an attention seeker. And so a lot of what you see may be over exaggerated. It may be for attention, things like that. But when you are constantly bombarded with the fact that men and women don't get along, relationships are going down the drain, the dating pool is really a cesspool, like to it's very hard to believe in love, right? And even saying that seems weird because people are so, like, believing in love is really like a radical act right now. It's revolutionary because a lot of people don't. A lot of people are just really jaded, really negative, or whatever. And I feel like this particular full moon is really going to give you the opportunity to really feel what it is that you want. And sometimes you'll know it's what you really want because your first instinct is like to shut it down, or your first instinct is to get scared, or your first instinct is to counteract with a negative thought, right? Or even a negative emotion. But listen to your heart, okay? The other thing I like about this full moon is that it's very much childlike because Leo energy is the inner child, right? It's playful, it's fun. And so I find that when it comes to, okay, I'll say it this way, sort of piggybacking off of what I was saying before. How you'll be triggered because you want something and you see it, but the seeing it reminds you that you don't have it yet, right? And how that can feel so daunting. It can feel so heavy. It could almost feel oppressive, right? Leo was like, listen, lighten up, have fun. Have fun with this. Like, sometimes the best way to manifest is to make it into a playful game, is to infuse fun things into it, right? To take the seriousness, the adulting out of it, if you will. Okay. And it's so important to do that because life is hard enough. Life is serious enough. Life is, for some people, grim enough, right? So have fun, be in love, believe in love. And this is perfect as a prelude to Valentine's Day, right? Even if you celebrate, if you don't, if you think it's bullshit, if it's the most important holiday to you of the year, have fun with this. Tap into love and be courageous enough to not only listen to your heart, but to follow it, right? It's the following part that can be hard, right? Because there have been plenty of times where we followed our heart and what has happened? We've fallen flat on our faces. We've gotten hurt, been abandoned, cheated on, all the things, right? And so, of course, that muscle memory prevents you from doing it again. Your brain is like, listen, why am I listening to this? Why am I listening to the heart again? The heart led us astray last time. The heart got us scared. Not the heart got us scared. The heart hurt us. The heart led us to be hurt, right? Your heart is, the intentions of your heart are likely very pure, okay? And in a world that seems so impure right now, maybe your love, your desire, whether it's romantic love, friendship love, familial love that you have to give, right? The world desperately needs right now. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why there is this, I do feel like there is this resurgence of, you know, things that aren't fucked up, right? Like, for as much bashing as there is against men, women, and dating, I feel like there's also this counter movement of people who are really seeking pure love as well. And I think that that's what the world needs. And so I say all of that to say that this full moon in Leo is going to show you what's in your heart, and you need to have the courage to follow it. Point blank, period. All right. So that's the theme for the week. Let's get into the week and see exactly what it is looking like. All right. So for the week of February 10th, see, short, sweet, and to the point. We've got Mercury square Uranus. We've got the Sun square Uranus, the full moon in Leo, and Mercury entering Pisces. All right. So let's see what the moon is doing this week. So we start off with the waxing gibbous moon in Leo, which moves into the full moon in Leo. And then by the end of the week, the moon begins to wane in the signs of Virgo and Libra. Okay. So let's go on to Monday and see what that was looking like. All right. So yesterday, we had a Mercury square Uranus and we had the waxing gibbous moon in Leo. All right, let's see what this looks like on the chart. All right. So we have Mercury square Uranus at the very top of the chart. You'll see that purple guy, Mercury, at 23 degrees of Aquarius. On the left-hand side of the chart, you will see Uranus at 23 degrees of Taurus. And the bottom of the chart, you will see the moon at 0 degrees of Libra. All right, so let's talk about Mercury square Uranus. Now, the only sort of transits, we only have 2 transits this week, and both of them involve Uranus, okay? So when it comes to sort of the general energy of the week, there's this undercurrent of surprises. There's this undercurrent of being pushed out of your comfort zone, sudden changes. It could be a week where there's this undertone of anxiety or perhaps this really nervous like energy, okay? It's sort of just letting you know that something is about to happen. And I think that many of us have been feeling that way. Like you feel like something's going to happen, but you're not sure what it is. Either way, it may be surprising. It may take you in a different direction, but ultimately it's going to take you where you need to go. So Mercury square Uranus. Now, Mercury is currently in Aquarius. And Mercury in Aquarius is like thinking of a master plan for the future. It's like, what can I change in my life? What can I improve? What innovations can I introduce into my life to move me into the future? Aquarius is an air sign, so Mercury really thrives in Aquarius. So it has your brain on overdrive, thinking of all the different things you could possibly do and possibly improve. Now, the thing with our mental capabilities is that a lot of times we sort of get married to an idea, we get married to a process, we get married to an ideology, right? Like we get stuck in our brains. We fixate on something, especially if we decide on something and we're like, that's it, that's it. There's no alternative. I'm not going to do anything else. Like this is what I've decided on. That's it. Now, when you take Mercury square Uranus, Uranus in Taurus is a raging bull in a china shop. Everything about Uranus and Taurus is getting you to move out of your comfort zone. And it's not a gentle push or a gentle nudge. Uranus is kicking you in the ass out the door, or in some cases, kicking your ass off of a cliff. Okay. It can be very jarring. It can be very nerve-wracking, right? But ultimately, it might have been the only way that you were able to get out of your comfort zone. If Uranus didn't push you, you might not have moved, right? So with Mercury square Uranus, it's this sort of on the one end being tied to an idea or being tied to a way of doing something when Uranus is like, yeah, that might not work. Like, or yeah, we could start doing it this way, but then we're going to change directions really quickly. So this particular transit requires you to have flexibility of mind, particularly when it comes to plans. When it comes to things like plans, travel, schedules, all of that, you need to expect the unexpected and be willing to pivot quickly. Okay. But this pivoting is going to be mental. All right. So it's really important that you keep an open mind. Again, a lot of times we get tied to an idea or we have a goal and we think that there's really only one way to achieve that goal. Mercury square Uranus is like there could be 10 million different ways. And if you start out with way number 1, you might end up at way number 8, or maybe you'll be at way number 6 in the middle. Like it requires you to pivot. Okay. And the thing about Uranus is that Uranus doesn't just provide surprises for no reason. I like to call Uranus the hand of God. It sees beyond what we can see with our natural 3D eyes, right? And so typically Uranus is like, you think this way works, but actually this way is better, even though this way that I'm telling you to do it may be a little uncomfortable. It may require you to do something you've never done before. Okay. And that's where the magic happens. So be flexible, especially when it comes to plans and schedules. It's one of those things where, hello, Maminka. Hi. Thank you for joining. It's one of those situations where, have you ever, okay, I want to describe this well. It's like you have an appointment at 2 o'clock and then the appointment gets canceled and you're pissed off because you scheduled your whole day around this appointment. But the fact that this appointment got canceled actually opened up some time for something else to come through, which was really important to you or that you really liked, right? It's like being at the right place at the right time requires us to relinquish control. And that's one of the ways that this particular transit works itself out. It's like, don't be tied to an idea, don't be tied to an ideology, right? Mercury in Aquarius also has a lot to do with groupthink. And so perhaps if your intuition is telling you, listen, what everyone's thinking and doing over here, it doesn't resonate with you, and you're sort of urged to course correct or you're urged to move in a different direction, do that, because ultimately that is what is going to serve you. Okay, so point blank period, this particular transit, mental agility, mental flexibility, adaptability, and being willing to move outside of your comfort zone. Okay. And at the same time, we had the waxing gibbous moon in Leo. Okay. So the moon is in Leo from Monday until Wednesday. And during that time, have fun, listen to your inner child, play, and really start to, perhaps you've started to feel this already, right? With the full moon coming up tomorrow. What's in your heart, what you really want, it probably has started whispering to you, right? Or maybe you're seeing things that remind you of a passion that you have, right? Pay attention to those things. It's only going to get louder as we get closer to that full moon. Okay. That's Monday. So next on Tuesday, we've got the Sun square Uranus. So yesterday we had Mercury square Uranus. Today we have the Sun square Uranus. Okay. And let's see what this looks like on the chart. Okay, so you will see at the top of the chart, we've got the sun at 23 degrees of Aquarius, and then we still have on the left-hand side of the chart, Uranus at 23 degrees of Taurus. Okay, so it's pretty much the same thing, although Mercury and the sun are they have two different energies. However, a lot of what I said before can be reiterated. The sun has a lot to do with our vitality. It has a lot to do with our ego. It has a lot to do with how we express ourselves. The sun is really the essence of us, right? And so when the sun is square Uranus, it's like, don't let your ego get in the way of progress, okay? Sun in Aquarius is kind of very progressive. It's very futuristic, right? However, with Uranus and Taurus, Uranus is still in the background, shaking you out of your comfort zone. And what you may think you need to do for yourself or how you need to express yourself, perhaps the universe wants to put you in a different position or wants to steer you in a different direction, right? So it's really important that you stay flexible and do not let your ego get in the way. You'll know that your ego is getting in the way because it'll likely provide resistance, right? There could be a lot of frustration. There could be a lot of anger, even perhaps, when confronted with something that your ego doesn't like. Okay. So again, same thing. Stay flexible, stay adaptable, and don't let your ego get in the way. Okay. So that's Tuesday. Now we go on to Wednesday. Okay. So we start off the day with the full moon in Leo. And then later on that evening, the moon will move into Virgo in the waning gibbous phase. All right. So let's see what this looks like on the chart. Okay. So you will see the sun at the upper left-hand corner is at 24 degrees of Leo. And then directly across on the other side, you will see the moon is at 24 degrees. I'm sorry, the sun is at 24 degrees of Aquarius. And directly across from it, the moon will be at 24 degrees of Leo. And then later on that evening, the moon will move into the sign of Virgo. Okay, so I did a whole video on this. Definitely check that out if you haven't already. But like I said before, what's in your heart is going to be highlighted. Based on the numerology, 24 reduces to 6. 6 is the number of Venus. It's the number of relationships. It's the number of partnerships, right? How appropriate right before Valentine's Day, right? For some, this may be, you know what, I don't really like my partner, or I'm not really feeling this situation, or whatever it is, right? But that emphasis on relationships is necessary. And I love that it's a prelude to Venus retrograde because everyone likes to say that during Mercury retrograde is when your ex comes back, and that's only true if Mercury is retrograding in your 5th house or your 7th house, generally speaking. But Venus retrograde, yes, that's exes coming back. It may not necessarily be a person from the past coming back. It could be an issue that you encounter in romantic relationships coming back in the form of a new person, right? So it's like new person, same story kind of a thing. And so I really want you to pay attention to what transpires around this full moon in Leo, right? Not just because you need to know what is in your heart, right? But it may show you what patterns related to romantic relationships keep playing out in your life. And with Venus retrograde, you're going to have the ability to reflect and even revise these patterns if you so choose. All right. And so, full moon in Leo, I think I've said everything I need to say about it without sounding like a broken record. All right. But check out that video if you haven't already. And then Wednesday night, the moon is going to move into Virgo, which is a completely different flavor than Leo, right? Leo is playful, it's heart centered, it's fun. Think of it as your inner child, right? Virgo is adulting, and adulting on a very grand scale. So Virgo is about discipline. It's about perfectionism, details, all of that stuff. And so since we have passed the full moon by that point, the moon is going to be waning. And I think one of the best signs for the moon to be in when it is waning is Virgo. Apart from Virgo, I would say Scorpio, but Virgo because it is cleanup time. Whenever the moon is waning in Virgo, clean shit up, whether it is your physical space, whether it's your workspace, whether it is your mental space, whatever it is, do some cleanup, right? That allows for fresh energy to come in. Get rid of what no longer serves you. Get rid of what you don't use on a regular basis. The one thing about Virgo that I think is highly understated is the fact that Virgo can be very minimalist, right? Minimalist living. Whatever you don't need, get rid of, unless it is useful, utilitarian, then you kind of get rid of it, right? And so when the moon is in Virgo, that is exactly what we do. And so we'll be able to do that for the most part between Wednesday and Saturday. So take some time to clean up. It doesn't have to be a full spring cleaning. We're not there yet, but maybe assess what's going on in your mind, right? And the way to clear mental clutter is meditation. It could be being in nature. It could be exercise. Whatever takes your mind off things is a great way to help clear your mental clutter. All right. So that is Wednesday. And now we move on to Friday. So on Friday, we have Mercury entering Pisces. Okay. So let's see what this looks like on the chart. All right, so you will see in that red circle, Mercury will be at 0 degrees of Pisces. Okay, so Mercury in Pisces, so appropriate for Valentine's Day. That's like whispering sweet nothings in somebody's ear. It is communication that is sensitive, that is affectionate, that's tender, that's compassionate, right? It is the essence of sensitivity in the form of our words, in the form of our thought, right? This particular transit bodes very well for creativity. So when it comes to songwriting, when it comes to anything that requires you to think creatively, creative writing even will thrive while Mercury is in Pisces, okay? Pisces is the sign of selfless service, okay? And so Mercury in Pisces could very much have you thinking about charitable things, donating, altruism, philanthropy, all of that kind of stuff. But most importantly, and this is everything that we need right now, Mercury in Pisces is about understanding and communicating from a place of love, right? Universal love. Not, I treat you nicely because I love you, but I don't love them, so I don't treat them nicely. I treat everyone as a child of God, as a child of the Most High, whatever you believe in. It's love on a higher level. And expressing that love, especially creatively, is going to be super easy with Mercury in Pisces. Okay. So if you are someone who is in the creative fields, this is going to be your time to shine. This is going to be the time when you want to do whatever it is you do in order to create. So really get some sort of creative process down, schedule some time to just either be in nature or go to the studio or whatever it is. Creativity is going to thrive. Okay. It's also great for just communicating with people in a kinder sort of way, which is everything that we need right now. All right. I definitely love this particular transit. All right. And enjoy it because come next month, Mercury's about to go retrograde. So there's always that. Okay. So that is Friday. And then finally, we close out the week on Saturday, real light. And we just have the waning gibbous moon in Libra. All right. So let's see what this looks like on the chart. All right. So you will see at the upper right hand corner, the moon will be at 0 degrees of Libra on Saturday. Okay. So we're still in the waning phase, right? Because at this point, we will have surpassed the full moon. So, waning, we get rid of what we no longer need. Libra, relationships. I think that's pretty self explanatory. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean you got to kick people to the curb, but if there are dynamics within your relationship, there are issues that are within your relationship that don't foster harmony and equality and fairness, then maybe you need to get rid of them. Okay, maybe you need to address them. Maybe you need to have a conversation, or maybe you do need to separate, divorce, or whatever it is, right? But either way, when the moon is in Libra, we're assessing our relationships and getting rid of what we no longer need. All right. And so that is the week in a nutshell. I told you not too much going on this week. All right. So again, if you haven't checked out my full moon in Leo video, that link is in the description box below. Join the private network, Cosmic Collective. It's really dope over there. Book a natal chart reading if you haven't already. Either way, I wish you nothing but the absolute best for this week and beyond. And I will see you guys next week. All right. Thanks for tuning in and take care.